Good morning. Welcome to Puebla, Mexico. We have been here for the past few days and we've explored the historic city center and enjoyed all of the different arts and cultural experiences that they have here. And now we are exploring the Fort of Loreto and Angelopolis. Both of these are a little bit farther from the city center, since that's likely where you're staying. I would recommend Ubering. You can take kind of a tour bus, or you could take an Uber or public transportation. We took Uber just because it's pretty cheap here and affordable. And we actually are starting our day off today in the secret tunnels of the Cinco de Mayo. These tunnels used to be used as an aqueduct, an underground aqueduct, and they stopped using them in the 17th century. And for a little while, they didn't really know they existed. And then in the 1900s, they found them again, and then they restored them, and you can walk through them. It costs 30 pesos, and they're closed on Mondays, and it's free on Tuesdays, though. It was a really cool experience to walk through these tunnels that were built in like the 1600s, and they have different plaques explaining information in both English and Spanish, and it's perfect because it drops you off right in front of Los Fuertes. So we have started off visiting the Fuerte de Loreto, or the Loreto Fort. This whole area is called Los Fuertes because there are actually two forts and then a bunch of museums. But we visited the Fuerte de Loreto, which is has an exhibit about different flags through Mexico's history, which was interesting. It wasn't my favorite. And then there's an exhibit about the Battle of Cinco de Mayo and just the history of the fort in different battles. The most well-known one is Cinco de Mayo. I think a lot of people now are starting to recognize that Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. It is a significant battle that Mexicans, specifically here in Puebla and some other surrounding cities, some sent soldiers as well, but happened here in Puebla, and they defeated the French. It didn't really win the war or make the French leave, but it was a decisive victory for them that really brought up their spirits, and for the people who wanted to not have the French take over, it was kind of like a symbol for them. If you don't know a lot about Cinco de Mayo, I think it's a cool exhibit. I felt like some of the information I kind of already knew, but it was still a cool visit. They do have most information in English and Spanish. Not all of the little plaques are in describing each object are in English. It's an expensive museum, though. It's 70 pesos a person, which isn't super expensive, but comparatively to other places that we've been, it felt kind of expensive for how small it was. But worth a visit if you're interested in history, especially like military history and Cinco de Mayo. We are going to now spend some time exploring the rest of Los Fuertes. After the Fuerte de Loreto, we walked through the Fuertes to the museum area. They have a variety of other museums, like a museum about evolution, about a planetarium, and one about like regional areas of Puebla. We were all museumed out, so we didn't go into any of the other museums. If any of those interest you and you have time, you definitely can check them out. We just wandered the grounds. There's a few fountains and things that are pretty that we saw. And then we had some lunch. There's a few different food trucks. Only two were open on a Tuesday, but we got Cemitas and they were actually really good. Cemitas are a traditional dish from Puebla. They are kind of like a torta or a sandwich, but they use a specific round bread with sesame seeds on top, and they pull out like the inside part of the bread so they can fit more things in the sandwich. So they put a lot of avocado. Traditionally, it's made with like milanesa, the chicken, and they put onion and this herb that's kind of strong, so if you don't like it, you might want to take it out, and like a chipotle or just salsa as well. It was surprisingly good for being in a touristy area and surprisingly affordable. It was 195 pesos for both of us for 2 tortas, a liter of horchata, and a big thing of chips. So relatively affordable for where it was at. Then the plan was to take the cable car down and take an Uber to our next stop, but the cable car at the top of Los Fuertes, it wasn't running because the elevator was broken, so you couldn't get to the top. You could do like round trip from the bottom and then back, but you just can't get down. If you can do that, I'd recommend it just as a fun way to see the city and Los Fuertes. It's 38 pesos one way or 55 pesos round trip. We then Ubered to Angelopolis. It was only 100 pesos, which I think is really fair for the distance it was. Ubering in Mexico is really affordable. It does depend a little bit on the weather. Like if it's raining, it's going to be more expensive, and just like the time of day and time of week. One of the main tourist things to see here in Angelopolis is the Estrella de Puebla, or the Star of Puebla. We came here during the day to check it out. It's not open until 4 on Mondays through Fridays. It does open at 11 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. It costs 40 pesos per person, which is really affordable. I mean, if you think about it, $2 a person-ish is pretty good. Or you can get like a private car for up to 6 people for 400 pesos. We are going to come back at night and ride it. We're going to kill some time in the malls. There are a couple malls nearby, the Star of Puebla, the Ferris wheel. One is just called Angelopolis, and then there's another one next to it as well that has some restaurants and other stores. We are going to go do some shopping and maybe catch a movie. Unfortunately, due to rain and lightning, the Estrella de Puebla did not open. That's just been our luck today. We've been before, and it's definitely worth a ride for the views. Neffy and I actually got engaged in front of the Estrella de Puebla 8 years ago. I included some pictures so you can see how beautiful it is at night when the fountain and the lights are running. After some shopping at the mall and a super cute Hello Kitty donut from Krispy Kreme, we took an Uber to the Calle de los Sabores, which roughly translates to the Street of Flavors. There are around 2 full streets of different street food vendors you can try. It was about a 15-minute Uber ride. Sadly, due to the rain and it being a Tuesday, many of the stands were closed, but we started off with some amazing carne asada tacos. I actually got a gringa, which is 2 flour tortillas with meat and cheese. It was delicious. The location is called El Tejano. And then we got an elote from El Rey de los Elotes. This was not a normal elote. This elote is covered in chipotle mayo, cheese, salsa, and crushed flaming hot Cheetos. And then crema and nacho cheese is drizzled on top with chips surrounding it. Neffy and I shared one because it was huge, and after that we were pretty stuffed but still wanted dessert, so we got a flan and an Oreo pie, which was only okay, but satisfied our sweet tooth. This is definitely a very local place. Some people actually got mad at us for filming, but thankfully we were near El Tejano where we ate first, and they told them to leave us alone, and they did. No one seemed to be bothered about the filming, and it's actually getting a lot of publicity on Instagram lately, so there's definitely some local tourists who visit. Well, that's a wrap on our day exploring outside of the historic city center of Puebla. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to help you plan your trip. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.